Hello, thank you for visiting the SIR website. SIR will be producing a number of short instructional videos on several topics related to SIR and codling moth management, which we hope will provide useful information to the public, commercial growers, urban host tree owners, and others. These will include topics such as how to access information on SIR's website, how to make use of information in your orchards and yards, along with discussing some common issues that can impact codling moth control in the field. We hope these videos will prove valuable and welcome any feedback about their use or anything else related to SIR that you'd like to pass on. Methods to contact your local SIR office will be shown at the end of this video. This first video will demonstrate how the public can use the SIR website to access codling moth counts for traps that SIR hangs and monitors in commercial apple and pear orchards throughout the Okanagan and Shuswap. This will allow orchardists to check trap counts for the current year in their orchard, as well as look at moth counts in the neighborhood around them, which may also inform their control decisions. The first step is, of course, to open your web browser. In this video I'm using Firefox, but other common browsers like Internet Explorer, Chrome, Safari, etc. should all work the same. In your browser's address bar, you'll enter SIR's web address, which is www.oksir.org, then hit enter or click your browser's Go button to go to the SIR's homepage. While you're here, take a moment to check for any new information which may be available in the What's New box, as well as take a look at the various links off to the side to see what information is available to you at the SIR website. To access the trap count page, you will click the Trap Data link over here on the left. You can read the description here and then click the SIR Web Mapping Application link right here to launch the actual application. Please be aware that the first time you access this application, you may be prompted to install something called Microsoft Silverlight. Silverlight is a free browser plugin which is required to use the interactive tools on this trap count application. So if you're prompted to do so, go ahead and install Silverlight. Once the plugin is installed, if necessary, you will then be taken to the trap count application. And keep in mind that this page may take several seconds to load, so please be patient while it loads. Once the application is loaded, you'll see this screen. And here we can see the entire SIR treatment area from Zone 1 in the South Okanagan, up to Zone 2, which is the Central Okanagan area, all the way up through Zone 3 from Lake Country, up to the North Okanagan and Shuswap. So the first thing we'll look at is how to navigate around this map. To pan around the map, in other words to move the map around on the screen, you simply click and hold your mouse's left button and then drag around the screen and you'll see that the map moves around with you. To zoom into the map, there are different methods you can use. The first way is to just use your mouse wheel. Scrolling the mouse wheel up zooms in to wherever your mouse is pointing. Scrolling down zooms out. I'll demonstrate that now. And you can see that once we've zoomed in on the map, we now see various areas show up within that zone. For example, here we've zoomed into Zone 2 in the Central Okanagan, and we can see Ellison, Glenmore, Rutland, Belgo, etc. all show up. Scrolling the mouse wheel down zooms us back out again. We'll zoom back into the Zone 2 area so we can again see the neighborhood names show up. You can use these indicators to continue to zoom into the neighborhood that you're interested in. So say we have a property in East Kelowna that we're interested in. We just use our mouse to point at the East Kelowna area, roll the mouse wheel up until we are zoomed in towards where we want to be. As you can see, once we're zoomed in enough, we begin to see roads and property lines show up. The property lines colored pink here are orchard properties. We'll continue to zoom in and we start to see road names appear. The road names can help you zero in on your property. And remember, at any time you can always pan around the map by clicking and holding your left mouse button and dragging the map around. So in this case, let's say we are interested in this property here. If we move our mouse pointer over the property and leave it stationary, a window pops up like this, showing the identifying information for the property. For example, here we can see the Gerfolio and property address, along with the SIR zone, Zone 2 in this case, SIR area, East Kelowna in this case, and the SIR orchard number, which is 38 in this case. The pop-up window also shows trap information below, but we'll cover that a bit later. While we're here, To see information for a different property, you just move your mouse pointer over a different orchard property and the pop-up for that property now appears. To have the pop-up window disappear, just move your mouse pointer over a non-orchard property, one that's not pink, and the window will disappear after a couple of seconds. Before we look at how to view the actual trap counts, we'll show you another way to find your property if you don't want to manually zoom and move around the map. To start, we'll just zoom back out to show the entire map. And now another way to move yourself around the map and to zoom in on where you're interested is to use these zoom tools up here on the top left. So we can zoom directly to a zone that we're interested in by pointing our mouse here at the zone link and then choosing the zone that we're interested in. Zone 1, which is the South Okanagan, or Zone 2, which is the Central Okanagan, or finally Zone 3, which is the North Okanagan and Shuswap. So you can see these links move us around the map to the zones that we're interested in, and from there we can then either manually zoom and move around as I showed you before, or we can use the other zooming tools. And one of those other zooming tools is the area link. We can use this to zoom in to a specific area, much the same way as we used the zone link. For example, we can zoom in on Naramata, Summerland, Benvolen, Glenmore, Bella Vista, etc. Note that areas in Zone 1 are listed first on this list, and then Zone 2, and finally Zone 3 areas. Once we're in the area, we'll probably find it easier to now manually zoom and move around the map to find the property that we're interested in. And finally, if you know the property address of the orchard you're looking for, we can search for that specific address using the address search tool here. So first we'll zoom back out so we can see the whole map. Now we'll hover our mouse over the address link and click in the search box and begin typing the property address. You can see that while I'm typing, the application is suggesting matching properties, which I can select at any time by simply clicking the correct property link that shows below. Once we've clicked the link to the property, the application will search for and move the map to that property. And this can take several seconds, so please be patient. So now the map has moved and zoomed in by itself so that the property we wanted to see is in the center of the page. Something to be aware of is that the property addresses that are used in this application are obtained directly from BC Assessment data. So if your address is wrong or incomplete, you'll need to have it corrected at BC Assessment in order for it to be correct here. Okay, so now we've found the orchard that we're interested in. So let's look at the actual trap counts for this orchard for this year. As before, if you hover your mouse pointer over the orchard, the window will pop up with the information. In the lower section of this window, we see the entire season to date of trap counts for this orchard. To the left, these dates show the first day of the week in which these trap counts were taken, and we can scroll the window up and down to see the entire season. And then we see a column showing sterile codling moth counts, and then finally wild moth counts. In this case, there are no sterile moth counts showing because this is a Zone 2 orchard and sterile moths were not released here in Zone 2 in 2013. And this final column again shows the wild codling moth counts for each week throughout the season. Note that if any weeks don't have a number, that means that traps were not checked during that week. For a quick example of what it would look like with sterile counts, we'll quickly move down to a Zone 1 orchard where they did release sterile moths, so we can see what it looks like with the sterile counts there. And so here is an example where you see the date and the sterile counts and the wild counts. So now we'll just go back to the earlier orchard that we were at in Zone 2. And we'll bring up the information window as before just by pointing our mouse at the property. and we can see the trap counts for this orchard listed below for the entire season to date. Very simple. Now something to keep in mind is that in this pop-up window, the moth counts shown are the total for that orchard for each week. This doesn't show us the counts from each individual trap in those orchards that have more than one trap. To see the individual traps, we can use this time slider up here to go back in time through the current season. So for example, let's go back to mid-May when SIR started checking traps in this area in 2013. And now we can see all these colored dots and circles appear on the map. What this is showing is the location of each individual trap along with the number of wild codling moths caught in that trap for the week chosen on the time slider. The dots or circles are the locations of the traps, and the number inside shows how many moths were caught in that trap. The color will change from light green, where there's 0 moths, through yellow, orange, and eventually red for high numbers of moths caught. Now you're probably wondering what the difference is between a dot and a circle on the map. Where we see a dot, that represents one individual trap. Where we see a circle, that represents a collection of more than one trap. And it appears as a circle because at the chosen zoom level, the traps here are very close together, and so the individual dots would be too crowded to see properly, so the application automatically merges them into a circle. But if we zoom in a little bit closer, we'll see that these circles now break apart into their individual dots to show the individual traps. And just to demonstrate that a little bit further, if we zoom out farther, we can see that the individual trap dots begin merging back into circles, and the further we zoom out, the more the traps are merged into collections represented by these circles. This can actually be quite a useful tool for seeing at a glance what a neighborhood looks like as far as trap counts. By zooming to an appropriate level, the neighborhood sort of gets summarized into general trap locations, and we can see what the overall area looks like without worrying about the details of individual properties. So here at this zoom level, we can see that in this area of East Kelowna, generally trap counts were pretty low, as there's lots of green indicators. The same is true for this part of South Kelowna. Up in this section of East Kelowna during this week, trap counts were a little bit higher, shown by the orange circles, and we can see the number of wild moths in the circles as well. 9 in this area, 3 here, and 10 over here. And also our attention may be drawn down to this part of South Kelowna, where we see a red circle with a total of 19 moths caught during this week. So if we have an interest in that area, we can zoom in to that location, and the more we zoom in, we will begin to see the traps break apart into individual traps, and we can see more closely where those moths were caught. Once we zoom in enough, we can see that most of those moths in that week were caught in one single trap. So that could be useful information for the operator of that orchard, as well as orchardists in the neighborhood potentially. So now let's move to, say, the Glenmore area of Kelowna and look at how we can see the trap counts over time through the season. So here we are in Glenmore, and I'll zoom in on this area in here. And on our time slider, we're in the week of May 19th, and we can see that during that week, these orchards had a few codling moth in their traps. We then drag the time slider to the right, to the next week, and let go of the mouse button, and the trap counts on the map have now changed to show that week's counts. So in this week, the week of May 26th, all of these traps had 0 moths. We can slide the time slider to the right again to the week of June the 2nd, and we can see that 1 wild moth was caught in this trap in that week, right down here. As we continue to move the time slider around, we can see the change in trap counts over time. As a reminder, if we bring up this pop-up window for the property, we can always see the trap counts that are the total of all the traps in that orchard for that week. So in this example for the week of July 7th, we can see that each of these 2 traps caught 1 wild moth. And if we bring up the pop-up window, we can see that in that week of July 7th, it shows us the total of 2 wild moths caught for that orchard. So this is a pretty handy tool for quickly seeing what your trap counts look like in your orchard or your neighborhood at any time. Now please remember that SIR monitors do also write the trap counts on the bottom of your traps out in your orchards, so you can also see your trap counts simply by going out into the orchard and looking at the bottom of the traps. But recognizing that that is not always convenient, this internet tool is also a very handy way to see your trap counts at any time. And during the growing season, you will see each new week's trap counts show up here as they are collected. And over the year, you can always look back at counts from earlier in the season to see if there are any particular areas in your orchard or around you that are a consistent concern. Or on the other hand, if everything is looking good in your orchard and the orchards around you. So that concludes this demonstration video. We hope that the video and the trap application itself proved to be useful. If you have any questions or comments about the application, your trap counts, or anything else that SIR can help you with, please contact your local SIR office. Phone numbers for all of the locations are listed on the SIR website, and again that address is www.oksir.org, and the numbers are listed over here on the left. Also, if you click Contact on the menu here, detailed contact information is available for each office, including an email link to send an email to our Kelowna office. And finally, another method to quickly send a message is to use this comments link in the menu. And from this page, you can send a message directly through the website. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you out in the field.